once we do that, there's maybe some stronger supplements that we look at, such as DIM, which is what is found in kale, broccoli, that we suggest people to eat. This helps to get the excess bad estrogens out of the system. And then we may move on to something such as progesterone cream. I don't always recommend progesterone cream right at the beginning because it's very strong and you have to use it very specifically. But basically, progesterone cream is a cream that you put on your skin that has natural progesterone in it. This is very different from the progesterone that is prescribed by a doctor. This is bioidentical to the body's progesterone. So this would be used depending on what the issue is during a certain part of the cycle. Okay, so any questions about any of that? Oh, yes.
You mentioned with Vitex that's not good for women if they're pregnant or breastfeeding. Is that the same with maca and shatavari? Or
you know, maca, we don't have anything saying that it's safe. I personally would take it during pregnancy. But we generally say that if we don't know for sure, we say to not do it. Just because we don't know. There haven't been studies on it. But, you know, you could probably ask a lot of people around here if they did it. And I know a lot of cultures have. But personally, you know, on our side with our clients, we try not to. Because there's other things that, you know, they can do they can use during pregnancy that are known to be safe.
So you say you personally would or personally would not?
I would. Yeah. But it's a personal choice. Yeah. Just because we don't know completely for sure, but just how maca works. I mean, it's more of a food than it is a strong herb. Like Vitex shouldn't be used. Some herbalists say it's okay, but just generally we don't have people using that during pregnancy. Okay, so diet. Diet is extremely. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I had another. Could you talk a little bit more about maca? Maca, a little bit more about what it does for the body beyond what you just said.
Well, maca is an adaptogen herb, so it helps pretty much. It's kind of like, have you heard of ginseng? It helps really where the body needs the help. So with a lot of these hormone balancing herbs, it's great because you don't have to know your exact blood count, to be using these things. So maca is just a very deeply nourishing food, basically, that we've powdered and we get to use in our diets. But basically for fertility, it's used to help to oppose the estrogen and increase the progesterone or increase the testosterone in men. But it's amazing because it's an adaptogen; it doesn't increase testosterone in women. So it kind of caters to what the body needs. But that's, I don't know. I don't really know a lot about maca in other areas, like in athletic performance. I know it's used, but I just know basically for fertility how it's used. And it's actually not completely known down to the scientific molecular reason how it's working on the body, but we just know it's an adaptogen and it's serving those organs and the endocrine system. And it's also been, it helps with a lot of the other parts like thyroid and a lot of the other hormones besides the one I mentioned to balance with that. Yes?
Will you mention the herbs used in the uterine cleanse?
Some of the herbs used in the uterine cleanse, one of the main ones is golden seal. There's some other herbs that are, there's some other herbs that are anti-inflammatory that we use. I can get you a list of those herbs. I don't have them all on top of my head in this second. Okay, so diet. There's a lot of fertility issues that are actually specifically caused from diet. And I know that you guys, everyone here is very much into nutrition. But it's really interesting to see that something such as endometriosis. Does anybody not know what endometriosis is? Okay, so endometriosis is the uterine lining that is in our uterus is called endometrial tissue. And that's, again, preparing for the egg to implant and the embryo to implant. Well, when there's an imbalance in the body, that lining grows in other areas of the body, such as around the intestines, the diaphragm. It can grow in the brain. It can grow anywhere. And when a woman's monthly cycle occurs, not only does she bleed, but those tissues and other areas of the body bleed. Yes, and it's extremely painful. It's a really, really painful condition to have. And so it's an estrogen-dominant condition, again, because these tissues are growing where they're not supposed to, and they're growing and growing and growing. They're not stopping. And so there was a study that was done that found that women who ate red meat more than 5 times a week were 100% more likely to have endometriosis than women who ate less than twice a week. There was another study done with pork, that women that ate pork 5 times a week were 80% more likely to have endometriosis than women that ate it less than twice. On the other hand, there was was, during that study, they did a study on women who ate green vegetables twice a day were 80% less likely to have endometriosis than those who ate a green vegetable every other day. And they did it with fruit. Women who ate fruit twice a day were as well 80% less likely to have endometriosis than those who ate fruit every other day. So just this simple study alone is amazing. And I'm not sure if it's because of the hormones in the meat or the meat themselves that is causing this issue, but that shows just one example of the impact of diet and possibly being a cause of these issues and how it can impact with a diet turnaround. PCOS is another fertility issue that occurs, and basically what this is when the ovary is trying every month to ovulate an egg, and due to hormone imbalance, that egg is not able to leave the ovary because there's hormones that cause it to move, it tells it when to happen, and the condition with PCOS, the body keeps on trying to release this egg and release this egg. And what happens is there's multiple eggs that end up there and they grow cysts around them. So you have this whole ovary that has a sack of cysts, basically, simplified, there. And so the body keeps on pushing more estrogen, it keeps on pushing more of these hormones to get these eggs out, but it's not occurring. And so this is an issue that is actually known as a precursor to diabetes. A lot of women who have PCOS are told you need to change what you're doing because if not, you're headed towards diabetes. And PCOS is very popular. It's actually one of the most common causes of infertility. But thank goodness, diet is the number one therapy for it. Both medical doctors will say this and natural practitioners will say diet has everything to do with it. The reason is because of insulin resistance. When we eat sugars and they spike and they drop down, not only is that causing an issue in our blood sugar, but that's causing hormonal imbalance to occur because the body sees that as fight or flight. When it's like, the body's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And it releases all these fight or flight hormones, which then cause the other hormones to become imbalanced. And diet turnaround is huge for that. Yes?
Do women usually still menstruate when they have PCOS?
Women do not. Some do. I mean, there's varying degrees of it. Some women menstruate, but it might be every 60 days, every 40 days. Really long cycles. They do not ovulate. And some women, it's very interesting, they have like a normal cycle, but they just don't ovulate. So it varies. And then sperm health. Diet has a huge impact on sperm health. Sperm is very susceptible to the chemicals we find in foods and into the hormones that foods can mimic. And also, if there's any deficiencies in foods, that will be realized in sperm health. For example, zinc. Everybody's heard of zinc. We need more zinc. Western cultures are very low in zinc, but what we found out is that if zinc is cooked, 50% of it is unusable and destroyed. So when people are saying, oh, here's some great zinc sources, use meat, use oysters, use this or that, a lot of these sources are cooked, and that zinc is not able to be used for sperm health. So I think that's part of the reason we have such a zinc deficiency in, the study was done in America, but I also think the other reason too is because of our soil, because a lot of the minerals we're getting is from our soil, and that's part of where zinc would come from. But a great source of raw zinc is pumpkin seeds. So, grinding pumpkin seeds, making pumpkin seed milk and putting that in smoothies, or snacking on them is fantastic. They're very, very high in zinc. Egg health. I talked before about the study that was done through Harvard about how eggs can be spontaneously produced, but also just knowing what we know about cell turnover and creating new cells, we know that we can have an impact on the health of these different organs and these different systems. We can have an impact on the health of the uterus, the ovaries. All these things are constantly rebuilding themselves. And that's through diet. That is the main way that's going to happen. And then the last is that another issue a lot of women have is lack of ovulation. This is very common. And one of the main causes is anemia. And this is found that once iron is introduced back into the body, ovulation occurs, and that's, it's really that simple for a lot of women. There's some important dietary factors to consider. The first is fiber. We spoke about that, getting rid of excess estrogens. The second is that we want to flood our bodies with antioxidants because this helps to protect the DNA of the system. This helps to protect the egg health. If the DNA is compromised in both the man or the woman, a possible miscarriage could occur because that is not a viable connection, not a viable child. And so through antioxidants, a wide variety of them, we're able to help prevent this. A lot of people, when they think of antioxidants, they think each one has the same action. I just need to either take vitamin C or I just need to eat, blueberries. But each one actually has a different action in the cell. So a wide range of them is very important. Vitamins, of course. There's different vitamins and foods that we need that are needed for various parts of the fertility journey. Down from, from the sperm being able to snap. There's a specific nutrient, vitamin C, is needed to make that sperm snap its tail. It's amazing how intricate an action can be and what nutrient is needed for that action to occur. If it doesn't do that, then it won't get to where it needs to get to. Or they'll be lopsided. I mean, there's a lot of different things that will happen to it. Minerals. A lot of minerals act like antioxidants in the body, and they help to protect cell integrity and DNA integrity. And a lot of minerals are actually needed as catalysts for action to occur, such as hormonal actions to begin and be signaled to occur. They're like sparks. And then the last part of some very important elements of diet and fertility is essential fatty acids. Essential fatty acids are necessary for hormone production. They're also necessary for brain development in the child. DHA is a specific essential fatty acid, or is an essential part of omega-3. And that has been shown that women who had good amounts and proper amounts of DHA during pregnancy, their babies actually scored a lot higher on IQ tests. And essential fatty acids can be found in hemp seeds, they can be found in different algae, they can be found in a lot of vegan and vegetarian foods. They're also found in fish. It's also important to include coconut oil if you're a vegan, because the saturated fat is needed for hormone production as well. So we have something that we work with our clients on called the Fertility Diet Challenge, and basically what we do is we kind of are sneaking a high-rod diet into their lives. And we never tell them that, because a lot of these women are coming from, I just threw away my 20-ounce bag of Snickers, and so they're coming from a place where it's very dramatic from where we're trying to get them to. So what we focus on is we focus on the important 5. And we have them add, no matter what else they eat, we have them add this important 5 every day to their life. And basically what the important 5 is the first one is to drink a quart of water upon rising. So many people are extremely dehydrated. So drinking that upon rising gets at least half of your water taken care of for the day. And it's also good because your body's been cleansing, it's been healing itself, and to get that water in is really good. That's actually the part that most of them find the biggest trouble with, is getting that water in. The second is that every day they have a fertility smoothie with superfoods, and with a fertility superfood. And what we consider fertility superfoods are a lot of what you consider superfoods. We consider maca a fertility superfood. We consider royal jelly is an amazing superfood for fertility. We also consider a lot of the different nuts because of the essential fatty acids. We consider green powders to be superfoods. Okay, so every day have a smoothie with fertility superfood. The third of the important 5 is to drink a green juice every single day. And this needs to be at least 16 ounces to 32 ounces. And if someone can't afford a juicer yet, we suggest them to do a green superfood powder every single day. So for some of these women, that's a huge step, just starting even with that powder. The fourth of the important 5 is to eat 1 dark leafy green vegetable every single day. This is going to be where they're going to be getting that folic acid that they need. And amongst other things like the fiber and a lot of other great things, but that very specifically in the iron. And then number 5 is to eat a huge salad every day with a lot of color, a rainbow salad. And so what we found is what we have them do is we focus on this important 5, and then they can add, their sources of grains or proteins or other carbohydrates to their diet as needed. But there's an amazing story of this woman she was 42, and she had an IVF procedure before she found us and started our programs. And when they do an IVF procedure, they take the egg, they take the sperm, and they inject it, and then they take pictures of it as the cells are dividing. It's really amazing to be able to see this. So she had a picture taken during her first procedure, which unfortunately failed. And then she came and did our program. She did the Fertility Diet Challenge, and she did it for 3 months. And then she went for her second IVF. And I think she had to have IVF because of her fallopian tubes were blocked, if I can recall correctly. And so they took a picture of the second one, and this has been after she'd been doing after she'd been doing this program for about 3